video, we're going to run through the K12 2021-22 application workflow. Once you've logged into Nova, navigate to Programs, and then from there, K12 SWP, and then click on Applications. You'll see at the top right, there is a blue button to create a 21-22 application. If you're starting brand new, that's where you would click. Provide a title for your application, and then select the lead agency. Click Continue, and that would take you to something that looks very similar to this. For the sake of the demo, I've completed a lot of information in here, but you would need to work through all of these workflow steps, passing validation on each one, and once you've done all of that, you'll be able to submit this application for consideration for funding. So on the Pathway Identification tab, it will bring in the name that you've provided, and then you will have to check through some assurances. I've left one of these unchecked to demo the error stepper. So you'll see I've not yet passed validation on this step. It says incomplete, but I also see this error stepper over on the right here. So if I click show, it's going to tell me where my error is on this page, or walk me through it if there are multiple. So if I check this assurance, we've passed validation, and we can move on to the next step. So Nova won't prevent you from being able to move on to the next step. If you haven't passed validation, you'll just be prohibited from being able to submit. So the next step is lead and partner agencies. So we identified the lead when we created this. We've pulled in a lot of the information from the database on that agency. There's a few questions that you'll need to answer. You'll also see that your rural status, unemployment rate, total ADA is identified here. Answer these few questions. Identify your participating schools. You can do that by clicking the Add button, typing in the name. And then identify the project lead and any other contacts. Once you have completed that, then you would identify your partner agencies. Very similar. Answer the same questions, identify the participating schools, and identify a contact from that partner agency. And you can click this button to add multiple partner agencies, should you choose, and that's what it would look like. If there are any historical applications from prior years, they would be identified here, but this one says that Nova has not been able to find anything, and this will be the first time for funding. Here are your positive considerations that are considered when scoring the application. For any positive consideration scoring, we would answer these questions, check the boxes that are appropriate, and then either click the workflow step or click next. And then on to your higher education partners. So I've then identified Cabrillo CCD here, added a contact, and then I can continue to add higher education partners or collaborative partners, which are optional. So I've added Digital Nest, answer the questions, identify a contact, and again, if I want to add multiple collaborative partners, I can do so. Then into identify the problem statement. So a series of narrative questions here to answer. I've just put in some generic or some text here, but you will see that you have full text editor capabilities. So you can add links, highlights, bullets, underline, those types of things, which is very handy. Identify the project objectives. Read these questions and the guidance carefully to make sure you're answering to the best of your ability. Here's some information that's provided on local regional economies. And then some questions on underserved student populations to answer. Here's where we're going to identify our industry sectors and pathways. So to check all that apply from this list here on the left, that would crosswalk to the California Community Colleges identification. And then pathway and design purpose. So select whether it's a new plan, expand or scale, or implement cross-sector. And then from there, you would identify the appropriate sector. It's a multi-select, so you can add multiple if appropriate. And on to creating our work plan. So identifying the pathway quality strategy by checking the boxes, and then answering some narrative questions about the specifics of the work plan. And then what other funds would be leveraged from the list here? And if I select other, I'm going to be asked to enter what the other funding source is. And on to the budget and match. So Cabrillo Unified is the lead institution. So I've built out a very simple budget here. The budget for the 3 years or the duration. You'll see information regarding the match requirement up top. A description of the expenditure by object code. See, I selected or put in some budget for indirect costs. We're calculating the percentage of the indirect costs, and I would answer the question there. And then the match. So there is a match requirement, and you would just need to make sure that your match passes the validation. We have 2 errors, and they're both match related. So I am $5 short, which means I won't be able to submit. So I'm just going to update this to $75. And we'll see that I've now passed validation. So there's validation for the match requirement. And then partner agencies can budget, answer the same types of questions, and you can add other agencies to do the same thing if you like. And then there's just a summary breakdown here at the bottom. There are required documents, which are all listed here. So you would be required to upload each required document for the required institutions, which I have done. To add a document, you would click the box, select the institution, select the document type, browse your computer for the file, and click upload. Once everything looks good, this is the final check. So this is all of the workflow steps above summarized into one page. I can share that if I wanted others to review it by putting in their Nova account email address here or their name and any comments, and then I could send that along. If everything looks good, I would go ahead and submit this application by clicking submit. I agree, yes. Okay, my application has been submitted. One item to note here is that you can unsubmit and resubmit your application right up to the deadline. So if somebody's identified some changes or provided some feedback, just know that you are able to do that. However, your application must be in the submitted state by the deadline at 5 o'clock.